Alright, so in this video we're checking out the Diatone Roma F5, and there's a lot of new parts and stuff into this new model. And we'll just start off with these pretty cool motors. Toka, I think, is the brand, and I think they partnered with someone else to make manufacturer's motor. Obviously branded Mamba systems here with their logo, and it's a 2207.5. 2450 kV, so this is obviously a 4S setup on a 5-inch prop, and this is an Epix S5 prop, 3-bladed. So we got the new frame here, the Roma F5 frame, obviously a freestyle frame. This is one that I think they've been working on for quite a while. They think they told me about this one about 6 months ago, but it's taken a while for them to sort of do all the refinements. There's a lot of freestyle frames out there, so it's kind of hard to differentiate between the different frames. So this frame, they kind of designed it so that it will be both analog and digital. So it comes in two different analog versions. This is the standard analog version. So it comes in a 4S or a 6S motor. This is obviously the 4S version. And then there's a light version of the analog that only comes in the 4S motor. And then there's multiple DJI versions. I think there's one or two with the Vista unit, so the Vista will go in the back here, and then there's one with the full DJI Air unit with the two antennas in the back and the DJI Air unit in the back here, and a GPS. So the GPS is in the back here for that model. So that's going to have return to home and all that kind of stuff, just like the Sector 5 did. So the different models have, I think they'll have different TPU mounts here for the back for the antennas. And of course this one here is a plug and play, so I just put an XM Plus receiver in the back here using their standard plug on like all the other Diatone models, and then use the included antenna tubes to stick them out of the TPU part in the back. So that's how you would set up the analog version. Obviously the digital version will come in different receiver versions as well, Crossfire, FreeSky, all that, or plug and play, or just you just want to use the DJI controller, that'll work as well. But this is a new frame, removable arms, separated arms here, and they changed the design here so that in case of a crash, you just have to loosen up this screw here and this screw here that goes into the standoff right there, and then the arm will slide out. So there's a slot in the arm here for this screw that goes into the standoff, or the screw that goes into the flight stack, so you don't have to remove your flight stack in case you break an arm. So if that happens, you just loosen that screw right there, and then the one underneath for the standoff there, and then the arm will just come right off. So it's a nice design. I think we're seeing a lot of that in more and more designs. And then the bottom plate is staggered, as you see here. We got a bottom plate here that goes to the front under the camera, and then this sandwich plate here that goes to the back is higher up. So this is lower here, and then this part here is higher up. So I think in the olden days, the frame bottom plate would just go all the way across the bottom here, and you'd have more space here for the VTX area. But apparently that's still enough for a full-size Air unit and Vista unit. But of course here we just have the TX400 Mamba video transmitter, so it's an analog power switchable video transmitter, smart audio capable, 25 to 400 milliwatts power switchable. And the stack is, I think it's fairly new, it might be an updated version. This one here happens to be the F405 DJI version of the Mamba stack. So it's an F4 processor. It's got the 9-volt or 8-volt BEC on there for powering the Air unit if you get the F4 version. If you get the 6S version of this analog, I think it comes with the F7 flight controller instead. And then I believe the ESCs are the F50 Beal Heli 50 amp ESC, so that I think has been around for a while. So yeah, obviously this is a pretty nice design. You got a lot of these little arm bumper parts, and this is all injection molded plastic here, not 3D printed parts. The only thing that's 3D printed is the antenna mount in the back here, like a camera mount here, the little bumpers in the front, little guards. They're all injection molded plastic. So that does seem to cost a little extra to make some of these. So that you can kind of count for the extra cost there. And they included an extra set of black as well of all these parts. So I don't know if the production versions will come in both colors or not. I mean, I personally think black would look fine too. The Stormtrooper color scheme looks pretty cool as well. But you might be wondering, well, hey, the USB port's totally blocked here, and yeah, it is, but it's fairly easy to access. You can pop these off here, so let me just show you on the black version. It's actually not that easy to pop off, in case you're wondering if it'll come off in a crash. It might, but as you can see here, the design, this is very stiff plastic, by the way, and it snaps onto the standoff there. And that's how you would basically have to pop that cover off here, basically start from the front, pull it off from the back, and then you'll have access to the USB port to make all your changes. It might not be a bad idea if you don't want to take this off and on all the time and you're going to be making a lot of tuning changes, maybe perhaps adding a Bluetooth radio to this so you can just connect to the flight controller via your smartphone and make changes that way. But yeah, all the parts are really nice. You got this covers on both sides. You got this little piece here for the XT60, the battery lead, and it's very nicely thought out and well designed. The camera up front here is the Runcam Phoenix 2, and this is on the standard version of the analog. If you get the light version, I think it comes with the Baby Ratel or the Caddx Ratel camera. And then this front here, I think they kind of use the same design here that they use in the Taycan. This metal front cage here, the two carbon side plates for holding the camera, and of course they've added these additional plastic pieces to protect that metal, because I suppose if you hit something pretty hard here, this aluminum will probably get scratched up, and that's pretty nice looking. So better to let the plastic get damaged versus that nice metal finish. So just like on the Taycan series, they've elected to go with this plastic mount here that's for GoPro style cameras. And so I just decided to just do kind of a quick and dirty, and I just put my Session 5 camera mount on here, and it's just very quick and dirty, very easy getting in there. It has a nut there on the side and a screw on the other side to adjust your angle. Although you can see here, at this angle, which I just matched the FPV camera angle, it does kind of take up some room here for the battery in the back. So I like to go with a 1300 Tattoo 4S, a little bit not as long of a battery. It's also lighter. It's going to cut down on the flight time a little bit, but it'll also make the flight a little bit more, I guess, give it a little more maneuverability, make it feel a little bit lighter in the air. So you can go with a 1550. It's going to stick off the back here. I had tried this with one of my 1550s, and it was hitting the antenna, and I kind of wanted it not to bump up against the antenna, so I like to go with a lighter battery versus the bigger battery. I don't know. I personally am not a big fan of these mounts here. It does make things convenient in terms of just going out and flying, but when you crash, and you will crash, this whole assembly here is just snap right off. You're going to break either the cage here for the camera, or the mount is going to snap here. It's pretty strong plastic, but you hit this hard enough, it is going to snap right off. It's a pretty big weak point right there, so something to keep in mind. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably going to be some third-party 3D printed mounts coming out on Thingiverse and other places. Brain 3D, for example, some places I can think of where we can purchase 3D mounts. So not a big deal, but it would have been nice if they would have at least had some of these included for sale. It might be. I did see some photos of ones, but it was also using the same mount here from the Diatone website. So again, I'm not a big fan of this mount here. It's probably going to break, so I would recommend using something different, but I just went with what they provided. It was just pretty quick and dirty just to get the footage, and this footage here is not going to be stabilized in Real Steady Go, because a lot of you guys are familiar with Real Steady Go and the Session 5. This is I guess a bad gyro or whatever, like the 7. So even though the tune and everything's really nice on this, and you'll see it's pretty smooth video, little minor vibrations are going to go right through all this hard mounted stuff here and into the gyro on the Session 5, and will totally mess up the stabilization that's performed by Real Steady Go. So that's why you're not going to see any Real Steady Go stabilized footage. It's basically totally unstabilized footage, raw footage out of the camera. Yeah, and it's pretty smooth. I mean, Stock tune, didn't do any tweaks or tunes, pin changes, nothing like that. I didn't even change the rates. I probably should have, because the rates are a little bit high for what I like. But yeah, I just, what did I do? I just put on my receiver, which was already bound, attached a camera mount, put on the props, charged up the battery, put on the battery straps, and went and flew it. So I think setup time was about 10 minutes for me. I don't even think I made any major changes in Betaflight, just other than putting the modes in for my radio, and that was it. Pretty good tune out of the box. So unless you're really looking for a perfect tune, you're probably gonna have to do some work yourself. And of course, that tune's going to change a little bit, because every battery you use on here is going to alter the tune a little bit. So if you're using a much bigger battery, a much smaller battery, the tune's going to change. I'm pretty sure that if you get the 6S version or the DJI version, they're going to have a different tune for those. So if you have a different version other than this one, the tune for this is probably not going to work for that other version. So if you happen to get the dump for the 4S version and stick on the 6S version, you're probably going to be in for a surprise where when you first arm it, it'll probably go to the moon. So be careful what you do with CLI dumps out there. If you don't know what you're doing, you can hurt yourself or cause a serious problem or crash or something where the drone will just flip out on you. So be careful what you do with those CLI dumps. Okay, so here's what the drone weighs with the camera mount on there. No camera, no battery, 396 grams, not too bad. And let's throw on that Session 5 that I flew it with, and we're up to 467. This is the Tattoo Force 1300. And this is the flying weight that you'll see in the video, about 615. So I'd say about average. Not too light, not too heavy. Probably pretty average for a 5-inch Freestyle. Anyway, so that's going to do it for this video. I will actually link this particular version down in the description, as well as an additional link to the other versions. I think there's like 5 or 6 of them. So you can probably want to check all those different ones out, especially if you fly DJI. I kind of wish that they would have sent me the DJI version, because I really enjoy flying DJI more these days than analog. But in terms of the video transmission reception on this particular video transmitter, pretty good for analog. So no major complaints. I'd say for an analog setup, it's definitely well above average. But all those links to the other different versions will be down in the description. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this new model and all the different versions that are out there. And if there's one that you're eyeing, yeah, tell me about it down in the comments section. That's going to do it for this video. Here's the flight footage, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. So this has a pretty decent tune on it already. Right out of the box, as you can see, they've done a pretty good job. I don't hear any weird oscillations. The rates are a little bit high for me. I need to adjust that. It's got plenty of power. Analog video reception is pretty decent for this area. A lot of Wi-Fi interference here. I am using the new Micro Lollipop 15 centimeter antennas, so that might help with reception.
Yeah, it's really smooth. The motors are nice and smooth. Responsive, it's very responsive. I feel like I have really good control. I am using a smaller battery just because there's the way the camera's angled. My 1550 was butting up against the Session 5. So depending upon the dimensions of your battery and how much camera tilt you have, there may or may not be enough space back there for a longer battery, so just keep that in mind. Coming up on about 14.5 volts here. About 14 volts I'll bring it in. It's very, very floaty. Those motors really spool up and give you a lot of floatiness. I'll have to see what the HD footage looks like. It's a real steady go. Not sure how much vibrations are going to be coming through in the Session 5, so it's possible it may not be good footage at all. All right, I think we're coming up on the end of the battery here, 14.3. 4 minutes of flight, not too bad for 1300 4S. Oh, now it's time to land. 13.5 volts. Let me know what you guys think.